It was a typical busy morning at Maria's small fast food joint. The smell of sizzling burgers and fries filled the air, mixing with the hum of conversation and clinking trays. She wiped down the counter, trying her best to stay on top of the constant stream of orders. Her little daughter Lily was sitting in the corner booth, quietly coloring in her princess coloring book. Maria had no choice but to bring her today. The daycare was closed, and she couldn't leave the 6-year-old home alone. Lily, with her long brown hair cascading down her back, was a picture of innocence. Her bright eyes and endless curiosity often made her the star of the restaurant, always getting smiles and waves from the regulars. Maria smiled at her daughter from across the room, grateful for the little peace they had before the lunch rush hit. But today was different. The usual crowd was there, but someone unexpected walked in, sending a ripple of excitement through the place. The door chimed as it swung open, and in walked a tall figure, exuding an undeniable aura of familiarity. The customers turned to look, some whispering to each other. Then a loud gasp from a young woman in the corner booth broke the silence. "Oh my God, it's him! It's Keanu Reeves!" Keanu Reeves, the beloved actor, known for his roles in blockbuster films like The Matrix and John Wick, had just entered a small, unassuming fast food joint in the middle of nowhere. Maria froze for a second, her heart skipping a beat. She couldn't believe it. What was he doing here? She quickly looked at Lily, who had turned her head at the sound of the commotion. Her eyes grew wide as she spotted the man everyone was staring at. Lily's small voice broke the stillness. "Mom, is that Keanu Reeves?" Maria gave a nervous laugh. "Yeah, sweetheart, it sure looks like him." Lily's curiosity got the best of her. She slid out of her booth and started walking toward the counter, her little feet barely making a sound, on the floor. Maria quickly followed, trying to catch up and calm her daughter. "Lily, wait!" But before she could stop her, Lily ran straight up to the man, her face lighting up with excitement. "Mr. Reeves," she called out, her voice full of innocence and awe. "Are you really Keanu Reeves?" The actor turned toward her, his expression softening as he smiled. "Well, I sure hope I am," he said with a chuckle, bending down to meet her at eye level. Maria reached them just in time to grab Lily's hand, her face flushed with embarrassment. "So I'm so sorry, sir," she stammered. "She's just a huge fan. We didn't mean to disturb you." Keanu's eyes sparkled with kindness as he waved off her apology. "No need to apologize," he said warmly. "It's always nice to meet fans, especially when they're so excited." Maria looked at Lily, who was staring up at Keanu in awe. Her heart sank. This was turning into something Maria hadn't anticipated. She was just trying to get through a regular day at work. Now her daughter was standing there, grinning from ear to ear, talking to one of the most famous actors in the world. Just then, Lily did something that would change everything. Without any warning, she stepped forward, wrapped her arms around Keanu, and hugged him tightly. "Dad!" she exclaimed, almost as if she were seeing a long-lost parent. Maria's heart stopped. The entire restaurant fell silent. Eyes widened, and whispers started to fill the air. Did she just call him Dad? Keanu froze for a moment, a slight look of confusion crossing his face. The tension in the room was palpable, but then something unexpected happened. Instead of pushing the little girl away or looking uncomfortable, Keanu gently placed his hand on her shoulder, his expression softening. He looked up at Maria, searching for an explanation. Maria stood there, frozen, unsure of how to respond. She couldn't help but feel a mix of embarrassment and worry. How could this be happening? "Is everything okay?" Keanu asked gently, his eyes meeting Maria's. He was calm, understanding, but there was an unmistakable curiosity in his gaze. Maria felt a lump form in her throat. I'm so sorry, Mr. Reeves," she said again, her voice trembling. She's been through a lot, and sometimes her imagination gets the better of her." But Keanu didn't seem bothered at all. Instead, he smiled kindly at Lily, who was still clinging to him with the biggest smile on her face. "No problem," Keanu replied. "It's nice to be called Dad once in a while, I suppose." Maria was taken aback. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. How could he be so calm about all of this? And why did Lily call him Dad? The room buzzed with speculation as Maria tried to gather her thoughts. It was just a simple mistake. Right? A cute, innocent mistake from a little girl who'd never met a stranger, let alone one of Hollywood's most famous faces. But something about the moment didn't feel simple. Something about Keanu's presence, his warmth, and the way he treated Lily felt different. Maria didn't know it yet, but this small, seemingly insignificant moment would be the start of something she never could have predicted, and neither could Lily. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. Maria hadn't always worked in a fast food joint. In fact, before Lily was born, her life had been very different. She had dreams of becoming an artist, maybe even owning her own gallery one day. But when she found out she was pregnant, everything changed. Maria's ex-husband, Jason, had promised they would raise their daughter together, but that was before he got caught up in his own world of distractions. There were endless late nights, work trips, and promises broken. By the time Lily was born, Jason was barely around. And when he left, he took more than just the marriage. He left her with a newborn, a pile of bills, and the weight of the world on her shoulders. There was no time for art anymore, no time for anything other than surviving. The dream of a gallery felt as distant as the moon. Maria had to get practical and fast. So she took a job at the local fast food restaurant, working long hours to make ends meet. It wasn't glamorous, but it was something. She could support herself and her daughter, even if it meant giving up on the future she had once imagined. The customers came and went, many of them regulars. She had learned to smile through the stress, hiding her exhaustion behind her cheerful demeanor. She'd even gotten used to the grumpy ones, the ones who barked orders without so much as a please or a thank you. But it wasn't the customers that kept her going. It was Lily. Lily had always been Maria's little bright spot, the one who made everything worthwhile. Maria often joked that Lily had her own fan club in the restaurant. With her big eyes, long, brown hair and innocent charm, Lily was loved by everyone who walked through the door. She would color, play, or chat with customers, her sweet voice ringing out like a bell. At 6 years old, Lily was wise beyond her years, even though she didn't fully understand the struggles Maria faced. The long hours, the exhaustion, the stress. Lily was just a child, and Maria worked hard to shield her from the weight of it all. But sometimes Maria couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt. Was she doing enough for her daughter? Was she giving her the childhood she deserved? Or was she merely surviving, getting by? Maria had never told Lily the full truth about her father. She didn't want to burden her with it, but Lily had always asked questions, curious about where her father was and why he didn't come around. Maria had always brushed it off with vague answers, telling Lily that her father was busy but that he loved her. But deep down, Maria knew the truth. Jason wasn't coming back. He had moved on with his life, and she had to move on too for the sake of Lily. Still, every time Lily asked about her dad, Maria felt that old wound reopen, the one she had tried so hard to forget. As for the fast food job, it was all she had. The tips were small, the hours long, and the work never ending, but Maria didn't complain. She couldn't afford to. The small, cramped restaurant had become her second home, and the customers, while mostly indifferent, had become a part of her routine. There were days, though, when Maria allowed herself to dream. She'd look at the clock, counting down the minutes until her shift ended, and imagine a life where she wasn't just struggling to make ends meet. A life where Lily could have everything she wanted, where they didn't have to worry about bills or where the next meal was coming from. But those dreams felt far away, like stars in the sky that she could never quite reach. And then, on this particular day, something happened that would change everything. Something that would shake Maria's world to its core. Keanu Reeves. He was just supposed to be another customer, a face in the crowd. But the moment he stepped into the restaurant, everything shifted. The excitement in the air, the way the customers reacted, the way Lily ran to him with the innocence only a child could have, it all felt surreal. And when Lily hugged him and called him Dad, Maria's heart skipped a beat. What had just happened? Keanu was famous. He was adored by millions. And here he was, standing in a fast food restaurant in a small town, talking to her daughter like it was the most normal thing in the world. And for some reason he didn't seem disturbed by it. He didn't push Lily away, didn't make a joke or brush it off. Instead he smiled, laughed even, and gently placed a hand on Lily's shoulder. Maria couldn't stop thinking about it. It was just a little girl's mistake, right? A misunderstanding? Maybe she had watched too many movies and had gotten confused, but the way Keanu had responded, it was so kind, so genuine. Something about the way he treated Lily made her wonder if there was more to this encounter than she could understand. The restaurant was still buzzing with whispers, but Maria felt like she was in a different world. Her heart was racing. She had no idea what would happen next, but she knew one thing for sure. Her life was never going to be the same after today. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. The rest of the lunch rush came and went in a blur, but Maria couldn't shake the feeling that something big had just happened. Her mind kept replaying the moment Lily had hugged Keanu Reeves, calling him Dad. It felt like the world had shifted for a second. The whole restaurant had held its breath, and even now, as the noise of customers and clattering trays filled the air, Maria could still feel the weight of that moment. Lily, oblivious to the tension, had returned to her corner booth after her brief interaction with Keanu, happily returning to her coloring book. Maria had smiled at her, but there was no denying the unease settling in her chest. She couldn't just brush this off. Something had changed, and she needed to figure out what. A few minutes later, as the last of the lunch crowd trickled out, Keanu approached the counter, where Maria was wiping down the register. She hadn't expected him to come over. In fact, she had hoped he'd leave quietly. But there he was, his calm demeanor cutting through the nervous energy that hung in the air. "Hey, Maria, right?" Keanu's voice was soft, kind. He smiled at her as he spoke, and for a moment it felt like they were the only two people in the room. Maria froze, wiping her hands on her apron. Yeah, that's me," she managed, trying to hide the nervous tremor in her voice. She could barely look him in the eye, still processing what had just transpired. Was he angry? Annoyed? Most people would have been. Keanu chuckled, his eyes scanning the restaurant. "I just wanted to check in. Make sure everything's okay," he said. His tone easygoing. Maria blinked, confused. "Everything's fine. I don't mind the hug, by the way," he interrupted gently, a hint of a smile tugging at the corner of his lips. "I just wanted to make sure I didn't cause any trouble for you or Lily." Lily? Maria's stomach flipped. She couldn't believe this. Why was he being so understanding? Most people would be weirded out by a random kid calling them Dad in the middle of a fast food restaurant. But not Keanu. He was talking to her like nothing had happened, like he didn't just walk into her life and turn it upside down. Maria stammered, unsure of what to say. "She's just a kid, you know. Sometimes her imagination runs away with her. I'm really sorry if that was awkward for you." Keanu's smile softened. "I'm not bothered by it," he said. "But I know how things can get out of hand when it comes to kids. It's all good, Maria." He paused, then added with a hint of curiosity, "I know this is a little strange, but how's everything going for you? You look like you've been juggling a lot." Maria's mind whirled. Was he really asking about her life? Was Keanu Reeves, one of Hollywood's most famous stars, genuinely concerned about a waitress's life? It felt surreal. Before she could gather her thoughts, she found herself answering. "It's hard. I'm trying to make it work, you know? It's not always easy being a single mom. I'm just doing the best I can for Lily." Keanu nodded, his gaze thoughtful. "I get it. I've been through some hard times too. It's tough, but sometimes it helps to have someone to talk to." Maria glanced at him, surprised by the sincerity in his voice. She had expected him to be distant, aloof, maybe even uncomfortable. But he wasn't any of those things. He was grounded, present. The more Maria thought about it, the more she realized Keanu was a person, just like anyone else. He had struggles and challenges too. It was so easy to forget that when you saw someone on the big screen every day, living a life that seemed far removed from her own. But here he was, standing in front of her, showing genuine kindness. Maria hesitated, still unsure whether she should open up to him. "I don't know what to say. I don't want to be a burden." Keanu shrugged, the same warm smile on his face. "You're not a burden, Maria. If you ever need to talk, I'm around. We all go through tough times. There was a beat of silence between them. Maria felt her heart racing again. What was going on? Was this really happening? Was Keanu Reeves, the famous actor, actually being kind and offering a listening ear? Her thoughts were interrupted by a high-pitched voice. "Mom!" Lily suddenly appeared at the counter, her face lighting up as she saw Keanu again. "I'm done with my picture. Can I go play outside?" Maria was still processing everything, but she managed to nod. "Sure, sweetie, but be careful." Lily grinned and dashed out the door, leaving Maria and Keanu alone in the restaurant. Maria quickly turned back to the counter, trying to compose herself. She wasn't used to this. She wasn't used to people, let alone celebrities, showing so much interest in her life. Keanu seemed to sense her discomfort and offered a reassuring smile. "Listen, Maria, I don't mean to overstep. I wanted to say that if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. No one should have to do this alone." Maria blinked, unsure of how to respond. Part of her wanted to reject the offer, to brush it off. It felt too surreal, too out of her league. But another part of her, the part that had spent so many years feeling alone, couldn't ignore the kindness in his voice. "Thank you, Keanu," she said quietly, still unsure what to think. "I really appreciate it." Keanu gave her a final smile before turning to leave. "Take care, Maria. You and Lily deserve all the best." As the door chimed shut behind him, Maria stood still, the weight of the moment sinking in. She couldn't quite process it all. Keanu Reeves had just offered her kindness, as if she were just another person he could connect with. Everything had changed in the blink of an eye. The day had started like any other. But now, Maria couldn't help but wonder, what was next? Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. As the day went on, Maria tried to focus on her work, but her mind kept wandering back to Keanu's visit. It wasn't the fact that he was a famous actor that kept her thoughts spinning. It was the way he had spoken to her, like she wasn't just a waitress, like she was a person, someone worth listening to. That kindness, that rare quality, left an imprint on her heart. Maria's mind buzzed with questions. Why had he been so open, so willing to connect with her? What had made him take an interest in her life? She was just another face in the crowd. The kind of person you forget about the moment you leave the door. But Keanu had treated her like she mattered. At the same time, a sense of disbelief lingered in her chest. Was she reading too much into this? Was she imagining things because she was so desperate for a little kindness in her life? She shook her head, trying to push the thoughts away. After all, it wasn't like he was going to call her or offer to change her life in any grand way. He was just being nice, and that's all. But despite her best efforts to brush it off, she couldn't. Lily had returned from her little adventure outside, running back into the restaurant, her cheeks flushed from the cold air. She skipped up to the counter with a big grin on her face, holding out her coloring book for Maria to look at. "Mom, look at the picture I made," she said excitedly, showing Maria a drawing of a princess holding a bouquet of flowers. It was adorable, but Maria's attention was still half on the thought of Keanu. "That's beautiful, sweetheart," Maria said absently, still caught up in her own thoughts. Lily's innocent excitement seemed to bring her back to the present. Lily eyed her mother for a moment, sensing something was off. "Mom, you're thinking about that guy, aren't you?" Maria blinked, not realizing how obvious her distraction had been. "What?" "No, honey, I'm not thinking about anyone," she said quickly, but Lily just tilted her head, her little brow furrowing. "Is it the man who you said was an actor? The one who looked like he was in the movies?" Lily asked, her voice filled with curiosity. Maria paused for a second. She didn't want to over-explain it to her daughter. After all, what could she say? That the man they'd met at the fast food restaurant was someone who might change their lives? That wasn't something she was ready to talk about. "Yeah, sweetie, he's just someone we met today," Maria replied with a smile, though the words felt empty, unconvincing. "Nothing to worry about." Lily seemed satisfied with that answer and skipped off to play with the other kids in the corner. But Maria couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change. The rest of the shift dragged on, the hours creeping by slowly. Maria felt like she was living in a haze, trying to keep herself grounded, while her thoughts kept drifting back to Keanu. Every now and then she'd catch herself glancing out the window, almost expecting him to walk through the door again, but he didn't. By the time her shift ended, Maria was exhausted. It had been a long day, but there was something in the air that made her feel restless. Maybe it was the way the world had seemed to stop when Keanu walked in, or maybe it was just her mind refusing to let go of that brief interaction. Whatever it was, she knew she couldn't just move on. Something had shifted inside her. She drove home in a fog, her thoughts swirling, barely noticing the streets or the passing cars. When she walked into the apartment, she found Lily sitting on the couch, watching cartoons with her coloring book still open beside her. "Mommy, are we going to see that man again?" Lily asked innocently, her eyes wide and full of curiosity. Maria froze for a moment, unsure how to answer. "I'm not sure, honey," Maria said, trying to sound casual. "But even if we do, I don't want you calling anyone Dad, okay? That's very important." Lily nodded solemnly, not understanding the weight of Maria's words, but agreeing nonetheless. "Okay, Mommy," she said, her tone sweet. Maria felt a pang of guilt. Was she overreacting? Should she have just let Lily be herself? But at the same time, Maria couldn't ignore the fact that her daughter had called Keanu Dad. It was an innocent mistake, yes, but it felt like more than that. And now more than ever, Maria couldn't stop wondering why. Why Keanu? And why had he responded the way he did? As the days went by, Maria found herself waiting for something, anything from Keanu. She didn't know what she expected, but part of her hoped that he might call. Maybe just to check in, or to offer a little help. But of course he didn't. After all, why would he? But then, a week later, something completely unexpected happened. Maria was working the lunch shift again when, out of nowhere, she received a message on her phone. The name on the screen made her heart skip a beat. Keanu Reeves. She stared at it for a moment, wondering if she was seeing things. But no, the message was real. "Hey Maria, I hope everything's going well for you and Lily. If you ever need anything or just want to talk, don't hesitate to reach out. Take care." Keanu. Maria's fingers hovered over the phone screen, the message leaving her breathless. It was short, casual, but it was also an unexpected lifeline. She had told herself not to get her hopes up. After all, he was just being kind, right? But this message, it felt like something more. Her heart raced as she stared at the screen. Could this be the start of something new? Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. Maria couldn't believe her eyes. Keanu's message was still sitting on her phone screen, the words almost burning into her vision. She read it over and over again, as if the more she looked at it, the more it might suddenly make sense. "Hey Maria, I hope everything's going well for you and Lily. If you ever need anything or just want to talk, don't hesitate to reach out. Take care." Keanu. Her thumb hovered over the screen, unsure whether to respond. What was she supposed to say? She wasn't used to this kind of attention, especially from someone as famous as Keanu Reeves. It felt surreal, like the kind of thing that only happened in movies. For a moment, Maria was torn. Should she just forget about the message? Pretend it never happened and move on with her life? She had told herself not to get her hopes up, but here she was, staring at a message from one of the most beloved actors in the world. A man who had shown her and her daughter kindness when they least expected it. But as much as she tried to brush it off, the message gnawed at her. She hadn't had a real conversation with anyone in ages, someone who genuinely cared. It wasn't about asking for help or pity. It was just the idea of being seen. In a world where Maria had often felt invisible, this moment felt significant. Maybe Keanu was just offering a friendly gesture, but it meant something to her. Maria took a deep breath and typed a response. "Thank you, Keanu. That means a lot to me. I'll be sure to reach out if I ever need anything. Hope all is well with you too." She hit send before she could overthink it. Immediately she felt a weight lift off her chest, though a nervous energy took its place. What would happen now? Would he respond again? Would she ever hear from him? As she continued working through her shift, the message was never far from her mind. The rest of the day was busy with customers and the usual chaos, but each time Maria found a quiet moment, her eyes would flick to her phone waiting for a reply. She couldn't explain it, but she had this strange feeling that something more was on the horizon, and then, just as the lunch rush was slowing down, her phone buzzed again. Maria almost dropped it as she reached for it, half expecting to see a new notification from a friend or family member, but when she opened the message, her heart skipped a beat. Keanu. Hey Maria, I was thinking about what you said. If you and Lily are ever in town, there's a little park near my place that's pretty quiet. I go there sometimes when I need a break. Would love to have you guys join me if you're interested. No pressure, of course. Just thought it might be nice to meet up. Keanu. Maria read the message twice, not quite believing what she was seeing. Was he serious? Did Keanu Reeves, the man who had millions of fans, just invite her and her daughter to meet him at a park? A quiet park, no less. It didn't seem real. Her fingers trembled as she typed out her response. Wow, that's really kind of you, Keanu. I think Lily would love that. Let me talk to her and see if we can make it work. She sent the message and then sat back, her mind racing. Was this really happening? A part of her couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. Keanu had been so kind to her, so down to earth, and now he was inviting them to spend time with him. She wasn't sure what she was supposed to expect from this, but the idea of spending time with someone who seemed so genuine, so warm, felt comforting in a way she hadn't felt in years. Lily, as always, was excited about the prospect of meeting someone new. Mom, we're really going to meet him? She asked, her eyes wide with excitement. Maria smiled, though she still felt a little unsure. We'll see, sweetheart. We'll make sure everything works out before we go. But the truth was, Maria had never been this uncertain before. It wasn't just about meeting Keanu. It was about what this meeting could mean for them. Would it be a one-time thing? Or would it lead to something more? Would it change her life? Or would it be just another fleeting encounter that faded into memory? A part of her wanted to believe that something good could come from this, but another part of her was scared. Scared of what might happen if things didn't go as planned. She had learned the hard way that life rarely gave you what you wanted, without complications. But Lily didn't see any of that. She was too young to understand the weight of what was happening. To her, this was just another exciting adventure, another chance to meet someone who made her smile. After dinner that evening, Maria sat down with Lily. She had to talk to her about what was going on. It wasn't just a casual meet-up. This was with a celebrity. It was important to manage expectations. Sweetie, Maria began, I know you're excited about meeting Mr. Keanu, but we have to remember something important. We need to be respectful of his privacy, and we have to understand that he's just being kind. We can't expect anything from him. Lily nodded, though she didn't really understand what Maria was saying. Okay, Mummy, I'll be good. Maria smiled, grateful for how simple her daughter's world still was. She didn't carry the weight of the world on her shoulders. She didn't understand how fragile things could be. All she knew was that something exciting was about to happen, and that was enough for her. As Maria tucked Lily into bed that night, she couldn't help but feel a mixture of anticipation and uncertainty. This wasn't just another day at the Bay restaurant. This wasn't just another random encounter with a famous person. It was something bigger. The next morning, Maria received another message from Keanu. Hey, just wanted to check in and see if you two were still up for meeting at the park. No pressure. Just thought it'd be nice to hang out. Maria stared at the message, her thoughts racing. She hadn't expected this to happen so quickly, but here it was. She needed to make a decision. She took a deep breath and, without overthinking, it typed back, We'll be there, looking forward to it. And just like that, the course of her life had shifted once again. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. The morning of the meetup arrived faster than Maria expected. It was a cool, crisp Saturday, and the sunlight filtered softly through the trees as she and Lily drove to the park. Maria had spent most of the morning trying to convince herself that this wasn't a big deal, but every part of her felt like it was. Lily, on the other hand, was bouncing around in the back seat, humming a tune and occasionally asking, Are we there yet? Maria couldn't help but smile at her daughter's innocent excitement. Lily had no idea who Keanu Reeves really was, but she understood that this was something new, something special. The park was nestled in a quiet corner of the city, far enough from the hustle and bustle to provide peace and solitude. As they pulled up, Maria could already see Keanu standing near the entrance, casually leaning against a tree, dressed in a hoodie and jeans. He didn't look like the actor everyone knew. He looked like just another guy at the park. Maria's heart raced as she parked the car and turned to Lily. "Okay, sweetie, this is it. Just remember, he's a nice guy and we're just here to hang out, okay?" Lily nodded vigorously, her eyes wide with anticipation. "Okay, Mommy, let's go." Maria stepped out of the car, taking a deep breath to steady her nerves. Keanu was still standing there, waiting, his hands tucked casually in his pockets. When he saw them approaching, he smiled warmly and waved, the gesture completely unpretentious. It made Maria relax just a little. "Hey, Maria." "Hey, Lily," Keanu greeted them, his voice light and friendly. "Hi, Keanu," Maria said, giving him a nervous smile. She had to remind herself that this was just a meeting between two people, nothing more, nothing less. Lily, of course, was unbothered by the starstruck situation. She immediately ran up to Keanu with all the confidence of a child who had no concept of celebrity. "Hi, I'm Lily," she said, grinning up at him. "I'm 6 and I love drawing." Keanu crouched down to her level, a genuine smile playing on his lips. "Well, it's nice to meet you, Lily. I bet you draw some amazing pictures." Lily beamed at him, clearly thrilled by the attention. "I made a princess picture. Do you like princesses?" Keanu's grin widened. "I do like princesses. My nieces love them too. Maybe you can draw one for me next time." Maria watched the interaction, her heart warming at the sight of Keanu's easy charm and how natural he was with Lily. He wasn't just being polite, he genuinely seemed to enjoy spending time with her. "Are you okay, Maria?" Keanu asked, noticing the way she was standing a little farther away, still processing the situation. "Yeah, I'm good," Maria replied, giving a nervous laugh. "It's just, this feels surreal, you know. I mean, we're just normal people, and here we are, hanging out with you." Keanu chuckled, standing up straight again. "I get it, but honestly, you two seem like the most normal people I've met in a while. It's refreshing." Maria didn't know what to say to that. She felt a little overwhelmed by his down-to-earth demeanor. It wasn't like she expected him to be anything other than polite, but his warmth and sincerity had caught her off guard. They walked over to a nearby bench, and Keanu gestured for Maria and Lily to sit down. As they chatted, the conversation flowed effortlessly. Keanu asked about Maria's job, her life, and how she managed to juggle everything as a single mum. For every question, Maria found herself giving a little more than she intended. Maybe it was the way he listened, or maybe it was just the fact that for once, someone was asking about her life in a way that felt genuine. "So, what's it like being a mom and working so hard?" Keanu asked, his voice soft and thoughtful. Maria hesitated for a moment before answering. "It's exhausting, to be honest, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Lily's everything to me. It's just that sometimes I feel like I'm always running on empty, you know? There's never enough time, never enough energy." Keanu nodded, a look of understanding on his face. "I hear you. Life can be overwhelming, especially when you're trying to balance so much. But it sounds like you're doing a great job." The compliment surprised her. Maria wasn't used to being praised, especially not by someone like Keanu. It made her feel seen in a way she hadn't experienced before. The tension in her shoulders seemed to ease, and for the first time in a long time, she felt like she could breathe a little easier. As they continued to talk, Lily was playing nearby, picking up sticks and pretending they were magic wands. Every now and then, she'd run over to show Keanu something she'd found. "Look, this is my magic wand," she would exclaim, holding it out proudly. Keanu would always play along, pretending to be amazed, which made Lily giggle uncontrollably. "I think you're going to make a fantastic wizard, Lily," Keanu said one time, crouching down to her level. "I bet you could teach me a few spells." Lily's eyes lit up. "Really, I can teach you. You just have to believe in magic." Maria couldn't help but laugh at the pure joy on her daughter's face. It was a side of Lily that Maria hadn't seen in a long time, unfiltered and full of imagination, and for that moment Maria felt incredibly grateful. Grateful that Keanu had given them this time, this space, to just be themselves. As the day wore on, they spent hours in the park, talking about everything and nothing at all, and it was one of those rare, perfect afternoons when time seemed to stretch and the world outside the park felt far away. Maria had expected to feel out of place or awkward, but instead she felt like she had known Keanu for years. When the afternoon finally began to wind down and the sun was low in the sky, Keanu stood up and stretched. "I should probably get going, but I'm really glad we did this," he said, smiling at them both. "You two are welcome to reach out any time, seriously." Maria smiled, feeling the weight of the moment. "Thank you, Keanu. This was more than I could have hoped for. You've really made a difference today." Keanu gave her a reassuring smile. "Take care of each other, Maria. You're doing great. And Lily..." He bent down again to look her in the eyes. "Keep believing in magic, okay?" Lily's eyes sparkled with excitement. "I will, I promise." As Keanu walked away, Maria couldn't help but feel a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. She hadn't expected any of this, but in the end, it had been more than she could have imagined. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching. From the days after their meeting at the park passed by in a blur. Maria and Lily found themselves replaying the afternoon in their minds over and over. Maria had never expected that a simple afternoon would have such an impact on her life. Every time she thought about Keanu and their conversation, it felt like a dream, yet it was real. He had taken the time to reach out, to spend time with them, and to listen. It was something Maria didn't take for granted, but as much as she tried to settle back into her routine, things felt different. She had always felt like she was just going through the motions, surviving, but now there was a small spark of hope, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Her mind kept wandering to what Keanu had said about reaching out whenever she needed to. And Lily? Well, Lily couldn't stop talking about the park and her magic wand for days. She had even drawn a picture of Keanu, complete with a crown and a wand, which she proudly showed to her mom each time she passed by. Maria found herself thinking more and more about the future, about her daughter, about her life, about the unexpected kindness that had come her way. She wasn't sure where things would go from here, but she felt like she couldn't go back to how things were before. It was late one evening, after putting Lily to bed, when Maria got another message on her phone. Her stomach fluttered as she saw it was from Keanu. "Hey Maria, I hope things are going well for you and Lily. I was wondering if you two would like to join me for dinner sometime this week. Nothing fancy, just a casual night out. Let me know if you're interested." Maria stared at the message for a long moment, blinking to make sure she wasn't imagining it. Keanu had invited them out again. This wasn't just another brief exchange. It was a genuine offer for them to spend more time together. Her heart raced as she thought about what it would mean. Could this be the beginning of something more? Was this just another fleeting moment, or was Keanu really interested in being friends? Her first instinct was to say no. She didn't want to intrude on his life, especially after everything he had already done for them. But then she stopped herself. Lily had been so happy after meeting him, and Maria herself had never felt so seen, so real. This might be her chance to break out of the cycle she had been stuck in for so long. Maria quickly typed back, "That sounds wonderful, Keanu. We'd love to join you for dinner. Let us know." "When and where?" Almost immediately he responded. "Great, how about Thursday night? I know a quiet little place that should be perfect for us to just relax and have a good time. I'll make the reservation. See you then." Maria set the phone down, her pulse quickening. This was happening. She was going to have dinner with Keanu Reeves. It didn't seem real, but there it was. She quickly called her best friend Sarah to tell her the news. "What?" Sarah's voice came through loud and clear. "Maria, are you serious? Dinner with Keanu? You can't be making this up. This is insane." "I swear I'm not making it up," Maria said, laughing nervously. "He actually invited us. Can you believe it? You're going to meet him again?" Sarah's tone shifted from disbelief to excitement. "Maria, this is huge. You have to be calm, okay? I know it's crazy, but you need to enjoy this moment. Don't overthink it." Maria chuckled softly. "I'm trying not to. But it's hard. I never imagined something like this could happen. Just remember, you're not going to dinner with some celebrity. You're going to dinner with a person. Be yourself, okay? This is your chance to actually get to know him. Maria thought about Sarah's words. It wasn't about being starstruck. It was about being human. Keanu had shown her nothing but kindness, and now they were going to get to know each other better. It wasn't going to be about his fame. It was going to be about connection. Thursday, night arrived, and Maria and Lily were ready, though Maria had spent most of the afternoon in front of her closet, trying to find something that felt just right. She didn't want to look out of place, but she didn't want to overdo it either. She settled on a simple yet elegant dress that made her feel comfortable and confident. Lily wore a cute little dress, her hair freshly brushed, her excited energy impossible to contain. "Mom, I'm so excited. I'm going to show him all my new drawings," she said, clutching her folder of pictures. "Oh, you're going to make him proud, sweetheart," Maria said, smiling as she straightened Lily's dress. As they arrived at the restaurant, a cozy, tucked-away place that seemed far removed from the usual chaos of the city, Maria's nerves kicked back in. But when she saw Keanu standing by the door, smiling and waving, all her anxieties seemed to melt away. He wasn't just the actor. He was a real person, just like anyone else. "Hey, Maria, Lily, you both look great." Keanu greeted them warmly, pulling open the door for them to enter. His presence was calm and welcoming, as though the whole situation was completely normal. Lily practically bounced up to him. "Hi, Keanu, I have more pictures to show you." Keanu chuckled, bending down to her level. "I can't wait to see them, Lily. I'm sure they're amazing." As they sat down at a quiet corner table, the evening unfolded into a relaxed and genuine conversation. They talked about everything from Lily's favorite shows to Maria's dreams for the future, and Keanu shared funny stories from his own life. He spoke with humility, kindness, and humor, nothing like the image of a celebrity most people would expect. For the first time in a long time, Maria felt like she was part of something real. She wasn't pretending to be someone she wasn't. She was just being herself. And Keanu, despite his fame, was doing the same. Lily naturally stole the show with her endless enthusiasm. She insisted on showing Keanu all of her drawings, explaining each one in detail. Keanu patiently listened, nodding and smiling at each. Picture as if they were masterpieces. At the end of the meal, when dessert was served, Keanu raised his glass and looked at both of them. "I just want to say thank you for being so real. I know I'm not always the easiest person to approach, but tonight has been truly great. You two are wonderful." Maria's heart swelled with gratitude. This dinner wasn't just a chance encounter. It was a connection that she never expected. And in that moment, she realized that sometimes the most unexpected friendships are the ones that change your life forever. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. The weeks following the dinner had been nothing short of a whirlwind. Maria couldn't believe how naturally everything had fallen into place. Keanu had reached out a few more times, and they had kept in touch, albeit casually. He had been true to his word, making an effort to get to know both Maria and Lily, not just as a star and a fan, but as a genuine person who had been touched by their story. But as much as Maria tried to keep a sense of normalcy, the media, always hungry for the next big story, started to catch wind of the unexpected connection. Maria was scrolling through her social media one afternoon when she saw it, a headline that made her stomach drop. Keanu Reeves spotted, dining with single mom. And her daughter. Is this the start of a new relationship? She blinked, unable to comprehend what she was reading. It wasn't just any headline, it was everywhere. Tabloids, news outlets, even online forums were discussing it. They were trying to make something out of nothing, spinning an innocent friendship into something far more sensational. Maria felt a knot form in her stomach. She didn't want this. She hadn't asked for this attention, and neither had Lily. Keanu had been nothing but kind to them, and now the media was turning their personal moments into fodder for speculation. She quickly scrolled through the comments, most of which were filled with speculation, some kind, some cruel, but all based on little more than a few public outings. "Why are they making a big deal out of this?" she muttered to herself. "We're just regular people. We're not celebrities. We're not looking for this kind of attention." That evening, as they sat down to dinner at home, Maria couldn't shake the feeling that things were about to change in ways she wasn't prepared for. "Mommy, what's wrong?" Lily asked, looking at her mom's serious face. "Are you sad?" Maria forced a smile. "No, sweetie. Just a little tired, that's all. Let's eat, okay?" But Lily wasn't fooled. She had always been perceptive, picking up on the slightest change in Maria's mood. "Is it about Keanu?" she asked, her small voice laced with concern. Maria's heart sank. She hadn't wanted to involve Lily in any of the media circus surrounding their interactions with Keanu, but her daughter was too sharp not to notice. "No, honey, everything's fine. It's just, sometimes grown-ups have to deal with things they don't understand. But it'll be okay," Maria reassured her, brushing her daughter's hair behind her ear. But deep down, Maria wasn't sure if it would be okay. She had never sought out the limelight, and now with the media poking around in her life, she felt like everything was spinning out of her control. She didn't want to be a spectacle. All she wanted was to live her life with Lily, to raise her daughter in peace and love, not under a microscope. The next day, Keanu called her. "Maria, hey. I saw what's been going on. I wanted to check in, see how you're doing." His voice came through the phone, calm and soothing as always. "I'm fine," Maria said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. "It's just all of this. I didn't expect things to go this way. I don't know if I can handle all this attention." Keanu was silent for a moment, and Maria could almost picture him running a hand through his hair, like he often did, when he was deep in thought. "I get it," he said. "I'm really sorry this is happening. I don't want you or Lily to feel uncomfortable or pressured, but just know that if you need anything, you have my full support. If you ever want to step back from all of this, we can. You're not alone in this, Maria." Tears welled in Maria's eyes as she listened to his words. It wasn't the first time Keanu had been kind to her, but it was the first time she truly felt his sincerity in the depths of her soul. His words weren't just comforting, they were a lifeline. She wasn't alone in this. "I don't want to make a big deal out of it," she replied quietly. "But it's hard, Keanu. It's just hard to ignore when people are writing about you like that." "I know," he responded gently. "If it gets too much, we'll figure something out. I want you to be comfortable, Maria. You and Lily deserve to live your lives without worrying about what anyone else thinks." Maria nodded, even though he couldn't see her. "Thank you, Keanu, really. I don't know what we'd do without you." "I'm just a phone call away," he said, his voice reassuring. That evening, Maria took a moment to reflect. She realized something crucial. This wasn't just about handling the media or the attention. It was about the choices she was making for her own happiness and her daughter's well-being. She couldn't control what others thought, but she could control her actions. She could decide how to handle this new, unexpected chapter in her life. As the days passed, she and Lily continued to live their lives as they always had, quietly, peacefully, and without concern for what the world thought. Keanu respected their need for space, only reaching out when they felt ready. Maria had to admit that there was something incredibly special about their connection, a friendship built on understanding, kindness, and mutual respect. Then just when Maria thought things might settle back down, another twist arrived. It was a Friday evening when she got a call from Keanu. This time, however, his voice was serious. "Maria, I've been thinking," he began. "I want to make sure you and Lily have everything you need. I know this might sound a little out of the blue, but I'm going to offer you something. I've been looking for a place for a while now, something a little more private. I have the space and I want to offer it to you. If you and Lily are interested, I'd love for you to move into a place I'm working on. It's far removed from the city noise, and you could have the privacy and peace you deserve." Maria's heart skipped a beat. It wasn't the first time someone had offered her help, but something about Keanu's offer, his tone, the sincerity, made her pause. He wasn't offering this out of charity. He was offering it out of genuine care. I don't know what to say, Keanu," Maria replied, overwhelmed. "This is a lot. It's more than I could ever expect." "I just want you both to feel safe, happy and at peace," Keanu said. "Think about it, no pressure, just know the offer is there." As Maria sat down on the couch, she looked at Lily, who was sitting on the floor, drawing yet another picture. In that moment, she realized that maybe this was the kind of support she had been longing for. A true, selfless offer of friendship. And maybe, just maybe, this was the start of a new chapter in their lives, one where they didn't have to feel like they were just surviving, but actually living. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. Maria woke up to a crisp Saturday morning, the sun casting golden hues across the living room. The weight from the past few weeks, which had felt so heavy, seemed to lift just a little. She stretched as she heard Lily's laughter echoing from the kitchen, where she was already playing with her toy dolls. It was moments like this that reminded Maria of the simple joys she had almost forgotten about, moments where everything felt normal, where she and Lily could just be. As the day went on, Maria couldn't stop thinking about Keanu's offer. He had said it with such earnestness, with such care, moving into a private, peaceful space, away from the prying eyes of the world. It seemed like the kind of fresh start she and Lily both needed. It was more than just a home. It was a chance to reclaim a sense of control over their lives. But even with that in mind, she couldn't help but feel torn. "Mommy, can we go to the park today?" Lily called from the kitchen, snapping Maria out of her thoughts. Maria smiled, walking into the kitchen where Lily stood holding a jar of peanut butter. She was in her usual state of excited anticipation, looking at Maria with her big brown eyes. "You want to go to the park, huh? All right, let's get dressed and ready," Maria said, ruffling Lily's hair as she began preparing their lunch to take along with them. It wasn't until they were halfway through their peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, sitting on the park bench under the shade of a large oak tree, that Maria felt the first stirrings of what she needed to do. As she looked at Lily, contentedly playing with the other children, and then at the bustling life around her, she realized how much she longed for peace. This city, with its noise and constant motion, had been a part of her life for so long. But perhaps it was time for a change. Maria had always been someone who took pride in doing things on her own, but the offer Keanu made felt like an invitation to finally break free of the cycles she had been stuck in. And maybe, just maybe, it was time to let someone who truly cared, be a part of her and Lily's journey. As the days passed, Maria thought more about it, talked to Sarah, and listened to her own heart. Keanu's offer wasn't just an escape, it was an opportunity. It was an opportunity for her to put herself first for once, to take the leap into something new. And while she wasn't sure exactly what it would look like, Maria knew that this new beginning, this fresh chapter, was a chance she couldn't pass up. The decision didn't come easily, but one evening, after tucking Lily into bed, Maria sat down to type out a message to Keanu. "Keanu, I've been thinking about your offer a lot. It's a lot to take in, and I want to be sure we're making the right decision. But after talking it over with Lily and giving it some time, I think it might be exactly what we need. If it's still available, I'd love to take you up on it." She hit send, her heart racing as she put the phone down. She didn't know what would happen next, but she knew that for the first time in a long while, she was making a decision for herself and for Lily. It felt empowering. Not long after, Keanu's reply came through, quick and reassuring as always. "Maria, I'm so glad to hear that. I've always believed in taking chances when they feel right. We'll make sure you both have everything you need. Let's talk more when you're ready and we can start planning. No rush. I just want what's best for you both." Maria let out a deep breath, feeling the weight lift from her shoulders. In that moment, she knew that the decision had been the right one. She wasn't just accepting help. She was stepping into a new life, one that was filled with potential and promise, a life that was hers and Lily's to shape. The next few days were filled with preparation. Keanu's team worked with Maria to find the perfect place, a large, secluded house on the outskirts of the city, surrounded by nature with plenty of space for Lily to run around. It was everything Maria had ever wanted for her daughter: freedom, space, and the quiet peace of a new beginning. She couldn't wait to show Lily, to tell her they were starting a new chapter, one where they could live without the constant stress of the city and the world's expectations. And as they packed their things, Maria felt something inside her shift. For the first time in a long time, she felt hopeful. She was walking into something unknown, yes, but it was an unknown filled with possibilities. A few weeks later, they made the move. It wasn't without its challenges, of course. There were, The logistics of packing up everything, finding a new rhythm in a new home, and adjusting to a different pace of life. But Maria saw the joy in Lily's eyes as she ran through the yard, playing with the new dog they had adopted. She saw the relief in her daughter's face when she didn't have to wake up to the constant noise of the city. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. And then one day, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Keanu arrived, not as a celebrity but as a friend. He had been a constant support, visiting them from time to time, helping them with small things and bringing laughter to their home. "Everything looking good?" Keanu asked, leaning against the doorframe with a warm smile. Maria nodded, grateful for everything he had done. "It's perfect. It feels like we're finally home." Lily, who had already befriended every animal within a 10-mile radius, ran up to Keanu, excited to show him a new drawing. "Keanu, I made you another picture. It's of you and me." Keanu knelt down and accepted the drawing, his smile soft and genuine. "I can't wait to see it," he said. "You're an artist, Lily. This is going to be amazing." Maria watched the scene unfold before her, and she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. It wasn't just about the house or the new life they had started. It was about the community, the kindness, and the connections that had formed along the way. Keanu wasn't just a friend to them. He had become a part of their family, someone they could rely on. In the end, Maria realized that sometimes the most unexpected twists in life can lead to the greatest rewards. The kindness of strangers, the courage to embrace change, and the willingness to be open to new beginnings. These were the things that had led her here, to this peaceful, beautiful place. And for the first time in a long time, Maria was no longer afraid of what the future might bring. She was ready. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from.